Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of the BMW E30 Touring engine bay cleanup. So I'm still waiting on this part to arrive. I currently have two on order, as two have already been cancelled on me. These things are on worldwide back order and are no longer made by BMW, so I'm having a really hard time finding one. So in this episode I'm going to remove the front bumper and cut this piece out. This will actually be the first time I've ever cut a panel from a car. First things first, let's get this bumper off. Before I started this, I had high hopes of getting the bumper off in about half an hour to an hour, taking into account a few stuck nuts and bolts. But as I began to take off the two main bumper bolts, I soon realised this wasn't going to be a quick job. One of them came off without too much trouble. When this came loose, I thought the other one would be possible if I just kept trying. I'm going to replace both bolts to prevent this from happening again. This one would just not give, no matter what I tried. I decided to remove the head by drilling it out. I even tried wedging a metal chisel into the hole and twisting it, but it really wasn't moving. After 2 whole days of messing around with this thing, I die grinded the rest away and finally got it free. Although that wasn't the end of it. But before we carry on, a big thank you again to Raid Shadow Legends for sponsoring this video. Raid is the boss of mobile RPGs with over 15 million downloads worldwide in just 6 months and ranking 3rd on the Google Play Store. Raid is a dark fantasy done right. It's a free-to-play hero collection turn-based game with over 400 champions to collect and 1 million builds in total across 16 heroic factions. You can make your way through the fully voiced over story or go on raids with your friends, or better yet you can claim glory in the PvP arena. Raid is adding more than 14 new champions every month, so there's always new strategies, new balance and new warriors to play with. You'll also get tons of free champions, equipment and other cool stuff just for learning to play the game. Those missions help you progress while getting extra rewards for each mission. Once you complete the missions, you'll get one of the best legendary champions in the game, the Arbiter. The devs have just released this roadmap to show you what the next 6 months will look like. With a new faction, a tag team arena feature, and a new clan boss, there's plenty to look forward to. Click my link in the video description to get 50,000 free silver and a free epic champion. And if you're fast enough, you can find me in-game under the nickname Restore It and join my clan. Thanks to Raid for sponsoring the video, and if you guys can click that link even if it's just to check it out, it really does help me out. Right. Let's get back to this nightmare of a bolt. So after removing the 2 trim pieces covering this piece, I realised I had to drill out the bottom of the bolt as well. The brackets holding these on were so rusty they all just spin. At this point I knew I was replacing a lot of these parts, I just wanted to get this thing off. Quite rusty. I think this is the first time it's been off the car since it was built. Finally, I could remove the rest of the small bolts holding the bumper on. The bumper needs some welding by the looks of it. I'll do this before I put it back on. Believe it or not, all of the bolts holding these trim pieces on were seized and rusted. Cutting a flathead across the top of these worked for some, but others were too rusty. so I'm going to repair or replace some of these plastic parts. Finally, with all those cut off, I could undo the last 2 bolts screwed into the plastic bracket and remove the bumper. It really does need a good cleanup and some welding before it goes back in. So now to remove the panel. This is the first time I've ever removed a panel from a car, so don't take too many notes. I started by removing some of the sealant around the part I was taking out. It was then time to drill out all of the spot welds holding it in place with a spot weld cutting drill bit. I marked the spot welds as and when I found them. Some can be quite hard to find, what with all the rust. Two small tabs need to be bent back to release it from the engine support. So here's one in real time. These bits cut through surprisingly fast, which is good because they went to town on the spot welds. Some of the spot welds needed drilling out from within the wheel arch, as I couldn't get to them from the other side. Here I'm removing some of the undercoating to get to the bare metal. By this point I could really see this thing coming out. It was a matter of finding each spot weld, drilling it out and splitting the two pieces of metal apart, in my case with a screwdriver. I have ordered some spot weld chisels in preparation for the Coupe's bodywork series. This is a kind of warm-up for that. Big thanks to FCP Euro for always supporting the channel and helping me out with new parts for the E30s. They shock me with the amount of parts they have compared to other companies I have tried. Some parts just can't be restored. That's where FCPeuro.com comes in. With a lifetime guarantee on all parts, you'd be crazy to shop anywhere else. Check them out at the links in the video description. Third time's a charm. Here we go again with the brake line. If you remember in the last episode, I completely messed this up by not moving the fittings to the end of the line before I started bending it. You can imagine what happened when I tried to bend it back to move the fittings. With it all going smoothly this time, I could install the new line and forget that ever happened. It looks like it's in the right place, but we'll find out when I install the ABS pump. Whilst I wait for the new part to arrive, I might as well get the engine and transmission ready to be installed. As this isn't a full restoration, I won't be doing a lot of the things I could do. I will be doing those things in the future once I start a full nut and bolt restoration on this Touring. As I said before, this is the engine I started to restore from the coupe before I started making videos, so it's kind of new looking, but not to the extent of the one from the engine series. I added most of the parts to the block before bringing the engine back down to attach the clutch, pressure plate and flywheel. Before I could do that, I needed to change the pilot bearing, but didn't have the correct puller for the job, so I used wet blue roll hammered through the centre of the bearing with the alignment tool to force it out. I then installed the new one with the socket and hammer. Next I added the separation plate and flywheel. These bolts need 150 Nm of torque, which is quite a lot of force. I used this bar attached to the crankshaft bolt and contacting the engine crane to stop the flywheel from moving. The clutch then went on using this alignment tool, and the pressure plate was cleaned with contact cleaner. It was then installed and tightened to 24 Nm in a crisscross pattern. Before I install the transmission, I need to straighten this bracket and swap out some parts for new ones. This episode was super late, so this is all we have time for. Next episode I'll attach the transmission and weld in the new panel as long as it arrives in the post. I'm going to be uploading more of these voiced progression style videos. Let me know if you like this kind of thing down in the comments. Thanks for watching, I'll see you soon.